was a hearing in Tallahassee before a federal judge. We, St. John's Riverkeeper, 4 other groups have been asking the state to establish something called numeric standards. And I know that's what I'm trying. It will be amounts, levels of nitrogen that industries, businesses, plants can put in the river that A, is understandable to all of us, and B, more importantly, Jimmy, will lead to meaningful restoration and beginning to see the health of the river improve.
You know, it's kind of like, I think you used an analogy of like a speed.
Right. For people out there trying to understand this, I will give you an analogy. What we had before this big court victory was Florida has a speed limit. And then each of us on our own determine what that limit should be, which is chaos. The difference is now we can make the statement, we have a speed limit and it's 35, meaning we have a numeric level that everybody understands. More importantly, that we and regulatory people can look at people who potentially are polluting and say to them, you're violating the law. What we had in the past, what I would argue was just a very complicated, convoluted standard that did everything it could not to say this is the numeric level of nitrogen anyone can discharge. You know, we had won a court victory almost 5 years ago that we talked about probably on some shows. Many people remember that was where the EPA originally stepped in and told all of us to make the health of the river better, we've got to reduce the pollution that we're putting in the river by about 60%, which is, you know, it's a target, it's a goal. It's going to take years to get there, but it was a blueprint. The polluters and the Department of Environmental Protection overturned that, and since that time, we've been seeking a remedy, as the attorneys like to say, and we challenged this kind of convoluted standard that we have, and I'm happy to say that we won. You know, you may have read and heard that, you know, if these regulations go into a place, you know, our economy will collapse, people will lose their jobs, our wastewater bills will go up by hundreds of dollars. The one thing, if you don't remember anything else from this show today, is, you know, no one knows what's going to come of this, except the most positive thing is we're going to have a roadmap of what it takes to restore the river.
And the reason we don't know at this point is because
it hasn't been established.
There have not been specific numeric criteria that
in other words, we have a process now that all of us will be able to follow and all of us will be able to understand.
And I think that's there's been a lot of misinformation about what this will mean for our economy and for the regulated community that will have to implement like for instance, wastewater treatment plants will have to be upgraded to reduce the amount of nutrients and nitrogen that they're putting into the river, and all waterways, that is, because this is actually, as Neil mentioned, this applies to all of our waterways in Florida, which I will say half of our rivers in Florida are polluted, and I think it's over half of our lakes are also polluted as well. So,
and our estuaries. So you could sadly make the case that half of our waterways are suffering some type of pollution. The majority of them are suffering from the problem that we just described, too much nitrogen.
So I think we'll just have to wait and see, and I think that's what the prudent thing is, to see what is the EPA going to propose, and then it'll be evaluated and see whether the science they used is valid, and then we'll be able to know what the economic impacts. But I do think it's important also for people to understand that there is an economic cost, obviously, to restoring the health of our river and our waterways, and we have to accept that. And I think that we need to look at that as an investment. It's a lot cheaper to restore now, and they're so critical to our economy to begin with. And I think that's one of the things that's always left out of the equation, too, is what is a clean and healthy river worth to our economy? Well, we have to take that into consideration.
You know, think about those photos we just looked at. Is that what we want our kids and our grandkids? I mean, is that the legacy? That, you know, every summer people think, well, when is the river going to turn green? What we're hoping is one day people will say, remember There was a time we used to have algae blooms, and we made these improvements, and now we have a summer where we can boat, fish, enjoy the river without worry of it being toxic or smelling bad.
And I think this is the next step, Neil, in fulfilling that legacy of having a clean and healthy river. It's interesting, speaking of legacies, you know, we met today with St. John's River Water Management District Governing Board member Hans Tanzler III. His father was the mayor of Jacksonville in the, I think, late 60s and early 70s. And he actually kind of, I think, began this whole process because there was a time when we can all there was raw sewage being dumped into the St. John's. Yes. Well, obviously, there was a cost to cleaning up. We assumed that cost. We no longer dump raw sewage. Right. We do dump treated wastewater, which is also still causing a problem. But we made progress in that, and I think that's what this represents. This is the next stage in progress. Now we're going to address that wastewater, clean it up to a standard that is going to protect the river. And I think this is a good step forward for the river.
And it's progress, and what I would tell people, you know, we'll continue to kind of keep you abreast of that. But if you hear people saying, you know, these regulations are going to cause the economy of Florida to take another downward turn. All of that is hysterical rhetoric. What I would ask people, first and foremost, you know, we have been working on this. If you believe in the work that we do, what we're telling you today is this is a huge, huge victory for the St. Johns River.
And you can go and read more about this on our website. If you go to stjohnsriverkeeper.org, which you see up there, actually go up to River Hugger, which has a link from the website also. And you can go to riverhugger.com, and that's our blog, and we post timely information and stories about issues that are impacting the river. We've had about, I think, 2 or 3 posts recently about this issue. It has a link too where you can go and read a press release from Earth Justice, because we need to mention that, Neil. Earth Justice was the organization that represented us and 4 other environmental groups in this case. They did all the work. We were just one of the parties that was a part of it, so I have to give them all the credit for all the hard work that they did. But you can go and read a press release, learn more about this issue. But this is something that I hope you'll take the time to learn more about. This and other issues. On our website, we have a lot of information about the issues impacting the river. And I hope you'll get involved and take the time to learn about this, and then to get involved with a group like ours. And even if you decide you don't want to be a member of Riverkeeper and get involved with our work, get involved in these issues and help, because these are important decisions that are being made right now about the future of the St. Johns River. So be an engaged citizen, because our river depends on you, really, Neil.
So Jimmy, I would encourage people to stay focused on this, and want to wish everybody a happy holiday.
Oh, thanks, Neil. Well, we're wrapping it up for this month, Neil. So thank you all for tuning in. And as I said, please check the website and stay informed and stay involved.